So tell me a bit about your history with the next generation and education and stuff.
The next generation is like you. I'm very passionate about it, and I was not an educated person. I didn't have any. My entire qualifications were waterwork and sailing, but I pushed myself to learn more and more and more, and that's what we encourage with younger people as well. They may not be good at school, but there are some times, with my own two sons, for example, they were never going to be educationalists. They were never going to go to university. So I taught them the right way of life. I taught them how to fix things. And I taught them how to be nice. And that was very, very important. I'm proud to say both my sons are very, very successful now. Probably more successful than me, but they keep the money to themselves. They don't give it away. And I've replicated that. I replicated it with the sailing charity Around and Around. There's very good things in everybody. It's actually finding it and encouraging them to play to that strength they've got that they may not know. And that's how our charity operates. I mean, I'm very proud that the Lively Lady at the moment, or currently, is actually looked after by the Kent Sea Scouts. She's in Chatham at the Historic Museum. She's out on the water most weeks. She's doing the East Coast classic boat shows and gaining interest all the time. We've had more inquiries for sailing on her than ever before, because people now believe in it and they know a little bit about it. But with Lively Lady, it was important that we did work with youngsters, because the people that remember Sir Alec and the boat are getting older to the point they may not be around forever, which is a known fact, and I fall into that category as well. So I looked at.
I think we all do.
Yeah, I'm trying to be diplomatic on it, because although my membership of that club ran out many years ago, I restored Lively Lady and started Around and Around, because otherwise she would be forgotten. And everything we do for Lively Lady is to make sure she's never forgotten, that Sir Alec's never forgotten, because he was one of the greats, absolute one of the greats. And all the youngsters we work with, okay, they're not youngsters anymore. They're married, got children, and still very much involved. We've got new sets of youngsters coming through now, and I hope we'll have the children of our children that we work with will join the project. Make it a family trait, and that's all we can really do is keep going.
So it's called Around and Around on Lively Lady, kids getting out, learning those skills.
Yep.
Something that I've learned through sail training, learning about sail training in Gosport and in Portsmouth Harbour, is that quite often it's about the skills. It's not necessarily about the actual sailing skills. It's about what being in that environment and learning that as a young person gives you. What would you say about that? Like, there might be kids out there saying, well, I don't want to sail. It's all great you doing your record things, but it's not necessarily for me. How would you encourage them still to take part, do you think?
Actually, I can sum that up. Prior to coming to your studios for this wonderful event today, I had a young lad, was brought to me by one of our sponsors who they were looking after, who thought he might be interested in boats and sailing. It turned out he actually isn't that interested in boats, but he wants to be an engineer. And our latest project is engineering excellence. I've really, really, really put the best of the best of the best together, including myself. And I showed him around the boat, and his mouth just kept opening. And I said, "You can do this. All you've got to do is push yourself." And he is at college now, and I'm not frightened to say things that possibly some people won't, but I had to say to him, if you think your instructor is wrong, tell him you think he's wrong and explain to him why you think he's wrong. Because by tradition, a lot of instructors, stroke teachers or whatever, probably aren't as good as they possibly could be. And I've had many occasions where I've been invited to work at colleges and training centres, and I've turned them down because they're not teaching the skills for the youngsters to move forward. The old ways are the old ways, and they come after the new ways. Simple as that. But you can't stand still all the time, and there's no point teaching someone to do something that is never going to be any good for their adulthood. And again, that's, it's a strange way. I mean, we've had some political issues with Around and Around, but I've stood in the corner and I've stated my case, and they've always worked out because we think outside the box. We think, because I was one of those youngsters. I didn't go to university. Yes, I've got an honorary doctorate, and I honestly, it's probably the proudest moment of my life. I thought it was a group of friends were taking a joke on me, and I ignored the first request to contact the Chancellor of Portsmouth University because I thought it was a big wind-up. I do, and as a group of people, we like having fun, and it wasn't until I actually took a phone call from the university saying, "Look, are you going to attend this ceremony or not?" And I've been to a lot of places in the world, and I've stood on stage with a lot of people. But it was Sandy Toksvith, the actress on QI and things like that. Mm-hmm. She was the Chancellor, and she presented it to me, and I was in the gowns, and she, not the tallest lady, I'm not the tallest man, but she said to me, "You look worried." I said, "Well, Sandy, give me gun-toting pirates in the South China Seas, and I'm quite happy. Me standing here, I'm bricking it." And I had the whole audience to talk to, but I did it, and but I think I mentioned earlier, I think I'd only passed my driving test as the only exam that I'd actually passed. To be awarded a honorary doctorate was for the work that I did for charities and my scientific work and the sailing and the boating. It was a massive honour, and I'd say to everybody, you can do that. If you don't have to be good at school, you just have to be good to yourself.